I think that AI is going to accelerate productivity in the sales organization tremendously. I think it helps the sales organization be smarter, faster, and tailor their interaction with the customer to what the customer wants.
Hi, everybody. I am Dave Elsner, the tech sales coach, with another sales skills workshop. Today, we're going to talk about sales and marketing alignment with Debbie McClure, who is the global head of sales at Dropbox and a good friend of mine for about 20 years. We go back to her Cisco days when I was on the VAR side. And so, hey, I haven't been involved in sales and marketing leadership other than a growth advisor for some companies in quite some time. And I know things have changed a lot. In my day, marketing kind of had their role of branding, running events, and then sales had their role of finding leads and closing deals. But with the modern buyer, I feel like things have changed because they have access to so much more information. So, what's your feeling on creating that alignment between sales and marketing?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's great to be here, Dave, and it's great to see you. And yes, we had a lot of fun in those days, and we're so successful. So some of my favorite memories. Things have changed, especially post-pandemic. I talked to a lot of my friends and other sales leaders, sales and marketing leaders, and I think the biggest thing is that the alignment just needs to be in lockstep. And a whole way down from what are we trying to achieve? How are we going to get there? What are you responsible for? What am I responsible for? And I see everybody just making those handshakes along the way, and then aligning to the outcome, and holding each other accountable for the piece parts. So I think that it's so critical in a sales playbook to have that alignment with marketing and sales.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things I see is that, especially since the pandemic, you're right, is that the modern buyer has access to more information than ever before. And they do their research, they make their top 3 selections, and then they reach out to a salesperson when they know that they might be one of those possible 3. Therefore, I think the inbound engine for marketing needs to be really strong. They need to be super visible so that when somebody's doing their research, they find you.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. And I would say, and when they find you, I think the name of the game is everyone's trying to figure out, how do we know as much as possible about that buyer and about what their needs are and what they've researched, where they've researched, how can you best serve them, as well. I think that's become the name of the game too.
Yeah, I think you point out something great, which is data. You have to have that information. You have to know that buyer. You have to know their likely goals and problems coming in, because the worst thing you can do is ask that buyer, tell me about your business. Yeah. You better know about their business.
It's my worst when I hear people say, "What keeps you up at night?" I'm like, what? So yeah, things have changed along the years for sure. But yes, I think that even over the past 5 years, the more consultative and thought leadership, and the more that you can help that buyer, educate that buyer, I think that's really where that modern sale is going, because they've already done a lot of pre-education along the way, to your point. But then how can you take it to the next level, which requires a different type of engagement, doesn't it?
Yeah, one of the debates I see a lot is, should marketing run business development, BDRs, or should sales? What's your feeling on that?
I think it's a toss-up. I think, again, it goes back to, if you have a really clear plan with marketing and everybody's aligned on the steps from A to Z and the outcome along the way, I don't think it matters where it lives. It just means that that the execution has to happen. So then the question comes down to where's the best alignment and execution, and it may vary, candidly.
Yeah, and you also have to think about what's the appropriate handoff point,
That's right.
right? Whether it's by deal constructs or territory or market or what have you. And so, what are the primary functions you think are important for a marketing team to help the sales team?
Yeah, great, great question. My mind first goes to product marketing, because I think sales in general relies on product marketing so deeply, and simplicity wins the game, I think, from a product marketing perspective. I've worked with a lot of product marketers over the years, and some are very technical, some are very detailed. But I go back to the years ago, keep it simple, stupid, the KISS method. Like, what are the 3 differentiators? How can I help my customers understand the value add that my product or solution brings to them to solve their problem? So I think product marketing, keeping it simple and helping the sellers cut through all of the detail to really what matters to that customer. And then, marketing, branding is super important. Search engine optimization is the way to go. Going back to this customer is looking around, not just looking at you. So how do you make sure your brand and your name is front and center? So just the aspects of marketing that kind of contribute to it.
Yeah, the product marketing aspect, if people are doing research, you want them to easily understand how you can help. And one of the trends that I see is use cases. You're putting a vision in their mind as to how you're going to solve their problem. And I would say use cases and success stories. Those are the things that resonate. Like, I think a buyer, when they're shopping, wants to understand and get a vision, and then they want proof that you've helped somebody else with the same problem. And so that's huge. That's huge.
That's true. Like, it's funny because I learned early in my career, a value proposition should always be, what are you going to do for me in terms of dollars and cents? Are you going to save me money, make me money, or give me a confidence of avoiding future risk? What is it that you're going to do, and how do you derive at that business outcome? And then what's your proof point? So yes, those use cases really bring it home and make it real for so many, and especially when you start weaving in the personas that you're targeting.
Yes.
I think that's a super important point.
Yeah. And hey, data intelligence again helps us identify those proper personas, their likely goals. What about sales enablement? Is that part of marketing, or do you believe in a separate function that enables?
Yeah. Great question. I believe that the product marketing and sales enablement work hand in hand. I think sales enablement is a larger function than product marketing. So sales enablement to me is about how can I put the cadence, rigor, and consistency in the sales organization with a common story on your company, or a sales methodology for determining what that pain point is in a company, and how do you actually quantify that pain point? Who are the decision makers? I think that sales enablement is a bit more general, and then you layer on product marketing to that framework, and then I think you have A plus B equals success.
Yeah. I always felt like you give the sales team the right tools and process, and they don't have the excuse to not make their number. Like, you build what you need around them to support them and help them be successful. That's kind of how I always viewed it. And I guess it feels much the same today.
100%. I think that's the job of the sales leader, candidly. I mean, how can you get your organization to be successful? Take away things that are pain points or non-productivity wastes of time and help them, enable them to be successful.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about data a lot. How do you see AI changing things for salespeople?
Yeah, AI, man, oh gosh, hasn't that just changed everything? I mean,
So quickly.
first time I played with ChatGPT, I'm wow, what? This is crazy. So I think that AI is going to accelerate productivity in the sales organization tremendously. I think it helps the sales organization be smarter, faster, and tailor their interaction with the customer to what the customer wants. So we've already seen, like, if I'm talking to a client, we've seen companies that have solutions where they can summarize that call. I was talking to one company, and they can look at their prospect and even take the person to the most likely personality type of that prospect based on social media, and then give the seller how they should interact with that prospect in the way that they think the prospect would like. I mean, it changes the game. It really does. And we just started. It's scary a little bit to think we just started, because we have we have so much opportunity ahead of us. So I think it's really a tool that can help our sellers be much more successful.
Heck yeah. It's already helping me in my business. I use AI for many things right now, but really it's an idea generator for me. And it's much easier than Google to come up with ideas using AI. I had a friend actually send me an AI video where he spoke to me in French and his mouth moved like a French person's mouth moved as he talked English. And he doesn't speak a word of French.
Wow.
And so now it's breaking down global barriers where I can reach out to somebody in Spain, even though I don't speak Spanish. It's, and I think, I tell salespeople, do your research before you go on that first meeting, know the customer, use their 10Ks to understand what's important to them. And you can plug a 10K into AI now and say, how does this 10K relate to this business opportunity I have? And what are the highlights and areas that I can help them? And it'll tell you. So all your research is done before that first meeting. It's just, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I know people are worried, but so far in its infancy, it's phenomenal.
Phenomenal. That's phenomenal. That's a great idea too, with the 10K and marrying to what your product or services are. I love that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. Well, hey, I really appreciate you doing this. Any final thoughts on our original topic of sales and marketing alignment?
Oh, it's been my pleasure. It's always good to catch up with you, Dave, and I love learning from you every time we speak. I think just the final thought I would have is that it's so important with the modern buyer to align with sales and marketing throughout the journey, and it's not even just upfront selling, but it's throughout the life cycle, isn't it, of that company or that prospect or whomever you're selling to. So it's not just about landing, but it's making sure that they're using and they're seeing that business outcome that you've talked about and you've sold. And there's also opportunities to expand or cross-sell and certainly retain, which is all the formula for SaaS. So
That's right.
Yeah, that's the only thing I would add.
Yeah, that's really big. You got to retain, you got to grow, you got to get them to use additional features. You got to drive user adoption, so that everybody's happy with the solution. So very, very good insight. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Debbie. It was a pleasure. And we will see you all on LinkedIn. Thanks, though.